Okay, so good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on which part of the world you are in. Welcome and Happy New Year to you. I know it's sounding pretty late saying Happy New Year, but the reason why I'm saying Happy New Year is because my story, which we started last year, is just kicking off this year. And for some of us that might have known, my name is Eno Taiwo. I'm the host of my story. So this particular session is called My Story. And the reason why we have this is because we found out everyone has a story to tell. And generally, as humans, we love stories. From the womb, stories are read to babies, and you hear them kick when they hear certain things being said. And going into nursery, a lot of stories are being told to our children in school. And even as an adult, who wouldn't love hearing a story? And let's bring it down to girls. Girls love talking, we love hearing stories. But the beauty about stories is it's not always rosy as we would love it to be. So there's some ups, there's some downs, twists and turns, but everything joined together is like a puzzle that always has a purpose at the end of the day. And it's always good for us to share our stories because through our stories, people are inspired, people are encouraged, people are lifted up. There are so many things we gain from our stories, even the so called seemingly uninteresting stories or painful or hurtful stories. In it all, I believe God has a purpose when He says that everything happens for a reason. To everything, there is a purpose. So even that painful situation we go through also might have a purpose in the end. And today I have a very, very special guest. I've actually had her on one of my shows, and her story was very amazing. But today I'm going to ask her what story she's going to tell us today. However, we are talking about finding purpose through pain or inexplicable situations. Finding purpose through pain or inexplicable situations. So there are situations that you can't really explain, but in it all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to His purpose. I'll be introducing my very special guest. She's a friend. Her name is Fumilayo Ajimego Omoluabi, and she's a creative business developer of Learning Pages and Zalops Limited. Now, she's got so many things that she's doing. She's quite a busy lady, but I'll just stop at that. And she's got a beautiful family with 4 children and her husband. So I will welcome you, Ajimego. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my story.
Good to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice to be here again with you, Eno. Pearls with Eno is really moving in leaps and in bounds. Thank you for having me again.
Okay. So, what's your story for us today?
Oh, well, like you said, I actually love the concept behind today's show, Finding Purpose Through Pain. Um, Life is a journey, as we all know. The truth is, as we go through life, as we go through the journey, we will definitely be faced with different things. Some, like our host has already said, beautiful, awesome. Some might just seem like, oh, it's the end of the world. However, there is always a purpose. There is always a purpose. And like the Bible says, that the Lord has not promised us a path that is so rosy, but He has granted unto us grace. I think that is more than sufficient. Once there is grace, then whatever you encounter through the journey, you're able to manage. So back to me. What is my story for today? I'd really like to focus on the major caption, finding purpose through pain. And like you know, um, I'm a mother of a proud. I'm a proud mother to a darling son who is on the spectrum. So that was pain for me. It was a really challenging period. So let me just go back for those of you that don't know. So years ago, first pregnancy, excited, happy to be a new mom, and God blessed us with this awesome son. I remember while I was pregnant, myself and my husband would always pray for him. Would always pray, oh, God bless him, God protect, and all. We didn't expect anything otherwise. And lo and behold, he was born ill and healthy. There was no physical deformity, nothing. And he was growing like every normal child, achieved these developmental milestones at 3 months, at 6 months, at a year. However, we started noticing that there were some funny behaviors like not expressing himself verbally as his peers, because I had other friends that we gave birth around the same period. So to cut the long story short, he was diagnosed to be on the autism spectrum. And believe me, there's nothing as shattering as hearing that your child, particularly your first child, has a challenge, whether physical, mental, however it presents itself.
Okay, so
So
sorry to
that
cut you.
was
At what age did you discover this?
okay. So between a year and two, he actually started mimicking, like when I particularly remember him stretching out his hand and he would say Mimi, Mimi, like give me. So there was
Mm,
really nothing to worry about. However, when it got to like 2 years, when he went into the play group and he would not interact with other children, he would mouth on things, he would cry, from beginning of school till the end of class, even seeing other children adjusting, we started wondering, oh, what could be wrong? What could be the matter? Initially, we took him for hearing tests, thinking, okay, perhaps he had some infection or something. But like when myself and my husband came back from that hearing test, I remember we had this discussion that, oh, why we would think that he couldn't hear? Because whenever we're praying together, if it were to be my turn to, so to say some things during the prayer, he would turn to look at me. If his dad is saying something, he would turn to look at his dad. So that was more of an affirmation that, oh, he could hear. He could easily, it didn't have to do with his hearing. However, at that 2 to 3, the words weren't developing, some things weren't adding up, and we started asking questions. And I remember at that time I was taking a course, postgraduate certificate in education. I just took it up for passion for children, to diversify into teaching. And I remember coming across special needs as one of the courses. And I told my husband, oh, probably dyslexia, dysgraphia. It was still strange. Oh, what's all that? I said, oh, there was really nothing. But we started realizing hyperactivity, non-verbal communication, instead of speaking to us. It just went on and on and on. So we I had to start asking questions, like I said, and lo and behold, my world came shattering down when I was told that he was on the autism spectrum. And I wept. I didn't cry. I didn't weep. I wept for days, for nights, for weeks, for months. Of course, I was in denial at first. I was like, oh no, because it had, I couldn't relate with it. It didn't even ring a bell if such had ever happened around me, you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
from my husband's side or from my own side. But there was something I know that down the line, before at about when he turned 3, I had our second child, his younger sister, and because of the challenges we had with him, I was very particular to print out developmental milestones as should be, and I had a tick off with her, and then I started noticing, okay, the gaps and all. So what do we do next? He's our child. We can't throw him away. That was one pain. He, we couldn't even go out because you don't know what to expect. So most times we just shielded ourselves within ourselves and tried to manage it. And the truth is, there wasn't so much out there. There wasn't so much out there for us to grasp onto, to sit, learn from, and all. So we started doing our findings. I was particular. I started doing my findings. In as much as I was faithing it, I do not underestimate the path of prayers and faith, because where we are today, it's only God that has brought us thus far, considering our system where such challenges are not really given attention to. There is the aspect of lack of awareness. Aside from awareness, there is that acceptance. It's really a challenge, and because we are very religious in nature, I know I hear things like, oh, they've used their child for certain kind of rituals, so that, please, to get what? If I want to use a child for a ritual, I won't get millions. I would rather get billions. And also,
That's
if I'm not at that level, why would I? My parents didn't raise me in millions, and I am here. I am who I
yeah.
am today.
Yeah, you
So,
survive.
but for me, I didn't let that bother me much. So it wasn't about what was being said, it wasn't about what was not available, but what was the goal? What do I want to achieve? I could not, this boy would not remain a child forever. He had to learn some skills. He had to be able to survive. And that was when we really started, okay, what do we do? And I am very grateful to God. I am most grateful to God for my husband, the kind of husband he blessed me with, because you see so many times most women are the ones pulling through this situation, but he was fully concerned. And up till this day, I can tell you, in as much as I'm an educator, I don't 60-70% of the time, I don't work with my son. My husband does. He got the books on social stories. He would go for occupation therapy sessions to learn, to put in practice. He would attend speech and language classes. In as much as I'm there, I'm learning. He's more of the patient person. So that is another thing. Through this
Okay.
pain, partnership is key. That
Okay.
support from your partner is key. So continuing on my story, it got to a time I was told for him to be in class, we had to get a chair because of hyperactivity. There's this kind of chair that you would have to, growing up, if you can relate back, like a locker, like your desk is
Okay.
in front of
Yes.
your chair.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the reason for that was so that we could,
To
it
keep him
wasn't
still.
for, yes, it was to keep him still and lock. And I
Mm,
remember that was when we got in some foreigners in the school then, and they were like, "No, that's child cruelty and all that." For me,
mm,
honestly, I was ready to to just put into practice whatever would work
mm. So,
through
but
the
please, before
pain.
you go further, what was a typical day like with a child? Yes, just because there are some families that may not also understand how deep it could be. So, like a typical day, what was it like?
You know, asking this question, time really heals
Yeah.
and time really makes you forget. I
Mm,
remember going to bed, and what will come to my mind is, oh, today is over. Tomorrow is another day.
another day.
So a typical day was us waking up. There was constant noise in the house. Constant noise in the sense that is either is whining, is squealing. There wasn't that quiet moment, where you would say, even if he was going to watch TV, it was going to be with squeals, with hyperactivity, with cries, with it was a mix of crying, squealing, and whatnot in between. I know that it was really, really by the grace of God. Like, truly, time really heals and makes one forget. It was truly by the grace of God we survived each day, because we did not know what was wrong. We couldn't lay our hands on, okay, why are you squealing? Okay, why are you crying? What do you want? There was no communication. Sometimes, and oh God, my darling son, he could cry for 1 hour straight, non-stop. He could cry 1 hour straight, non-stop. Sometimes in the night, he would just wake up and then he would start mounting on things. I remember there was this time we traveled and he mounted on different things, and the next thing it was a fever in a foreign land.
Like
You
infection.
you
Yeah.
in fact it became
Oh,
so it
yeah.
was always on. I was always We were always on our toes, watching, ensuring that, okay, he hasn't done something wrong. He wasn't so much aware of danger, so you
Mm,
had to be aware on his
yes.
behalf. So you had to keep child proof. If he came into my house, then it was bare. No porcelain, nothing like all those fancy decors, nothing, because it would get broken. And you do not want any accident. Hey, dear mama, it is not about the beauty of the house, it's
At
about the
all.
welfare of the child. So
Child,
a
yeah.
typical day was more or less like by the grace of God. But one thing I must tell you is that he ate well. I don't know how God helped me manage that. We didn't deal with constipation. We didn't deal with bad eating habits. God really helped me, because when we didn't know, when I stopped baby friendly, I went straight into purees, as a natural purees I made myself. So I think it was easily it was easy for him to adapt to textures and taste, because I know that a lot of children struggle with eating. A lot of children on the spectrum. That is serious challenge so many parents have. And once you have that challenge, it could result in a comorbidity. It could result in um, another illness. It could result in underweight. It could result to being susceptible to other common sicknesses and illnesses. I must tell you that we never really went to the hospital. If we were going to the hospital, it was to follow up on, hey, pediatrician. What can I do? What do I do? My son isn't still talking. My son is not behaving right. It was really for those purposes. So now, through the years, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't even know. I got a postgraduate certificate in education. So that qualified me to be a teacher. And along the line, before we discovered all this, I think God just puts things in our hands sometimes and we don't know. I was into educational resources by chance. It wasn't something I had planned before. It was just that doors opened and I cashed in on them. And I was able to get relevant materials easily to support him, support his learning, support his teachers, also adapt for him to learn. I would say that really is his situation drove me to really want to push on in the educational bit. And along the line, well, if there was anything wrong in school, trust me, I was the first to get there. I have four other children. If they say, "Oh, your daughter has done this," or "My other son has done this," I not that I don't love them and all, but when it
Of
comes
course,
to
yeah.
activities that involve this particular son of mine, trust me, I'm at the forefront. And that was how, with the help of God and with other supporting parents who were concerned in my community, because we had, it wasn't just me, we had other lovely parents as well who were being warrior moms. I got into a prayer group with some of them. We would pray because we believed that prayer was ultimate for us as well. You had to pronounce the promises of God upon them. And then, aside from that, I went into the school and I started volunteering. I volunteered in the learning support unit, learned one or two things. And I remember the HR manager then in the where we were, and she told me that, see, I would like you to take this special needs thing. I see you're passionate about it, and just take it to another level. Try to work something out. And it felt like a mantle of empowerment had been dropped on me that day. And with the help of God and with grace and partnership with some parents and the school authority and the support of those in authority, management, and all, were able to start up um, a parent support group. We had like monthly meets where we could channel our needs within the community, because where we were was, an enclosed community, and also ultimately create awareness about special needs, no matter the kind of needs. Create awareness and preach acceptance. And I must tell you that it really went a long way. It really went a long way. Awareness and acceptance, like, recently, I'm no longer within that community, but trust me, when we got into our present location, I went round looking for, oh God, I remember us praying so hard. God, lead us to a school, lead us to a school, lead us to a school. When we got to our present location, we were looking for a school. I combed the area. I got the big names. I'd gotten someone to do a short list of me, top 10 schools that had support for special needs. I visited like four or five on my own with my sister-in-law. Oh God, family was also very supportive. I went with my sister-in-law, then at some point, myself and my husband, when he could, because he had to also sort us in our new location, we went round. It was one thing or the other. There is this thing. You as a parent, you would feel comfort. You would feel, oh, this is where my child should be. But every time we walked into those places, I couldn't get that. I could And it was getting closer for school because corona the pandemic had just eased down and schools were going physical now. So what next? Was it going to just stay at home? And lo and behold, my sister sent me a picture of a friend and a friend's school, and I'm like, your friend has a school. How old will that school? What can that school offer me? I just dissed it. I turned it down. Moving on, I spoke to another friend who had relocated to the same area that, babe, I'm looking for school. Oh, I've gone here. No, she asked how far. I said, I've gone this. And she said, come on, I thought you said we stay in the same area. Have you checked out this school? And when she mentioned the school, I said, come on, that name sounds familiar. That should be the school my sister sent me. And I go back to my sister's chart and I see it's the same name. And I had to listen this time because they are educators as well. So they had gone there and they had seen and they knew. So on going out that day, lo and behold, what was facing us at the junction of at the corner of the road, it was the billboard. God spoke to us. It was a big billboard showing the name of that school. It was a
So
billboard.
let me come here now. So we're talking about finding purpose
Yeah.
through pain and inexplicable situations, and I'm just remembering your relocation from where you were before, and the timing, because if I'm aware, he was at that age where he was supposed to move. Yeah.
Progress.
Yes. So,
Transit into another level.
yeah.
So I'm just giving a total story
Hmm.
to just come, you know, because before this relocation came, so many people had asked me, oh, so what secondary school is your son going to go to? And I'm like, hey, Jesus, I'll just say we'll go to Abuja. That was all that always came out of my mind.
Wow.
Honestly, I just because we had family in Abuja, we also had family in Lagos. But anytime I can still vividly now. I still remember some of those conversations, and I'll tell them, most likely somewhere in Abuja. My sister, I
Wow.
did not know where. I'm
Wow.
serious. I did not know where. I had not visited any school. Even the periods where we went for school visitation with the school, when we went for a school search, because it was something that was organized for us. It was Lagos. We never came to Abuja. And I did not want the hustles and bustles of Lagos life. I had left there for a while. I did not know if I could cope. So I would always just say, we'll go to Abuja. There was something. So when Abuja became a reality, I was like, oh God, what next? What? And lo and behold, we walk into this school. We were coming from church, and my husband said, let's even locate this school that we have seen billboard. Someone abroad has sent us info about this school we ignored. Another friend had confirmed. Now the billboard was staring us in the face. Do you know that school is less than 5 minutes from my house? Less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
Less
Wow.
than 5 minutes.
I'm just
Get
seeing purpose like unfolding
that is
everything.
And it was because I remember so well before we left, it was a prayer point. I would not lie. It was a prayer point. God, this school thing. I didn't even pray for where me I will fit in, no, career wise or business, because I closed down my business. I
Hmm.
sold my shop. I wasn't in. You go, you will tough it out. And the schools we were looking at, the international schools, the this, the that. Well, purpose in unexplicable situations. And we walked into this school and they said, oh, yes, we do special needs. However, most of our children can talk. Need I say, my son was beginning to get verbal. He was 11 already by this time. It was just one word, and sometimes he still would mix up communication if it is too muddled up. So getting to the school, it was a challenge. But guess what the owners of the school said to us? I it's still so it felt so surreal. And they said, see, we've never handled this. However, we are willing to learn, we're willing to manage, we're willing to work with you as long as you are willing to work with us.
Wow.
And no, guess what? Speed dial. I was able to connect everybody, and oh my goodness, the school management from where we were coming from, so wonderful. His teacher, oh me, sorry, I'm trying not to call names, but I think you will get to a
No,
point
it's a
where
story, and there are people that
I
are
need to.
involved in that journey. It's a journey.
Yes,
There
this
are people
this journey,
involved.
Mrs. Meritina, Mr. Tochukwu, they were fast, they were ready to organize meetings, the speech and language therapists. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful. They were immediately we told them, okay, this is the school that has accepted him and all that. They packed up all his materials, asked
Oh,
if he needed more, made some materials with his IEP, and they transported. I didn't have to lift my hand. They sent everything. So I now had to go and set up the learning support unit in the school.
yeah. Can you imagine?
I had to go set it
Can you
up. And
imagine?
proudly today, there are other children in that unit. They're still learning. However, the school is an inclusive school today. And
Wow.
the head of school, she would always make a reference and say, oh, thanks to,
Oh
I
my
needed a place for
goodness.
my son.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that was when I also, coming out of my community, made me realize that a lot of parents are really, really finding it tough. So right now, I work in a school where I support early years. That's children between the ages of like 3 months to 5 years. So
Okay.
pre-nursery. I can tell you that we have more than a handful, at least 10, there are at least 10% of those children that need additional support. I
Wow.
don't know what is causing it. I don't
Wow.
know, but I'm able to say, hey, this is what
Oh
I
my
see in this
God.
child. This is what you should do. When we got to my new location, I was able to take off Maggie as a whole from food. I was
Mm.
able to get more of fresh food. So within a
Wow.
year, my son that couldn't identify, he couldn't easily solve. So when you put a sequence of arithmetic, like for example, he's very good with mental maths, I must say. He's very
Yeah.
good with
I
mental
noticed they are
maths.
very gifted, even with spelling, like spelling bee. I've
Mm-hmm,
seen them.
mm-hmm.
In fact, there was a spelling bee today, and I saw a child. She did really well.
Fantastic. So with his mental maths, if you write it out and you say, for example, 26 plus 12 on a paper, it would do it. 13 plus 3, it will do it. 15 plus 5, it will go on. Then if you now put number 4, 13 minus 2, my darling son will add for you. He
Oh,
will he has started, we struggled with that. He will continue with addition. We struggled with that in with for over 3 terms. Mr. Tochukwu tried all he could, even we tried. But getting here, you see, when God orders your step, I don't know what they did though. I will not tell you I did this or I did it. They unlocked that. Today, this young man does division, multiplication of 100 tens and units in 100. I'm not saying it's just about the bookwork, but I'm just telling you that it's about progress. It's
Yes.
about progress. He's learning French and he sees his French. When
Wow.
I go to pick him, if he sees his French teacher, he never says good afternoon. He says bonjour.
Oh.
And I'm like, God, you've done so much. And I'm able to find that purpose to encourage other mothers like me, because there is, you see them when they bring their children, they are down, they are this, they are, and then sometimes because it's I want to show love, you might over show love, and the child is not, because it has to be a balance. It has to be a balance. It has to be a balance. And I always see, like I always go to the head of school. Yeah, I'm like, hey, autism day is coming. Oh, we have to do an awareness. We have to do an awareness. I just see myself always trying to come to the forefront of saying, hey, I don't even need you to pay me. I don't need you to pay me. Just come. This thing is a challenge. It's not like the common cold that you find a cure to. It's not even like an infection. It is there. You just live through it each day frustrating, and you start thinking, what next? What will come out of this child? And I can tell you, I still have my concerns. I still have my worries and all. However, I know that God that has brought us thus far is able to continue guiding us through and bring us to a perfect end. I remember so well, someone will say, oh, what do you think your son? And some people can ask question. Mm, what do you think your son will like to study? Me gan. I
I
wish I
will
had that.
seriously. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. So at some point, oh, some people say yes, they say special needs children like have some basic and some key, they like art, they like this. I say, well, my son likes to do puzzle. I've not seen him drawing. Me, I cannot draw to save my life. I will just say, so is he, how does he want to inherit it? But recently, I just saw him watching, you just go on YouTube, you start watching how to cook, how to make burger. I'm not saying anything yet, but
I know, yeah, but that's
it
amazing. Like
was,
at least you've seen something of interest and
and when I ask him, what are you doing? He said, burger. What are they cooking? Egusi. Well, and he likes food though. So I don't know, maybe it's out of his love for food. God is pointing me in a direction. But whichever way, I believe that everything is secured with the blood of Jesus. And he would bring it all. He will make everything beautiful. I've seen children or friends who have blossomed, who are blossoming, and I know, even like one of the teachers where I support other children with special needs said, that's, man, you've come a long way. Who would have told you that this like 13 years ago, that you'll be able to stand, encourage other mothers? And I say, hey, am I encouraging other mothers? I'm just, I'm encouraging myself and hoping my encouragement is encouraging them. But the truth is, I can, I can, I think the niche for me right now, the it's just about these children. What can we do for them? What would become of them? How can we better manage them? How can we create more awareness? Because believe you, the truth is we have a lot of children with special needs, and the truth is so many parents don't know. So many parents still don't know. They don't know. They think maybe the child is being naughty, and oh yes, you have to be firm with such children. But the truth is, I don't have a formal training yet with special needs. But however, I have the real life experience.
experience. And you know what I was just thinking? So if you had not experienced all of this, I'm just seeing it tied to your own purpose
Mm,
because probably this could have been the purpose. You know, when God has already written something out for you and be like, okay, you know what, this is your own path. But then on a normal day, you might not have really wanted to go into special needs per se, because from your story, you saying already with your education background, you had already started doing things like that. But then it was more like a real life experience. You would have just been knowing the theoretical aspect
Thank
of
you.
it. And you
Exactly.
probably might not have focused on like the LSU thing. You might just have said, okay, you just the surface. But with this one in your home, it was very, very easy for you to relate with it. And honestly, it's just like this, it's like a wilderness experience where
Mm.
you know when you're in the wilderness and you're thinking like, oh, why is it just me that is in this place? Like I think I've also had that kind of experience where I'm like, God, what is happening? Why am I going through this? And I discovered that it was for somebody else. It's
Yes.
usually for somebody else at the end of the day. Because looking at you now in your new location, having to set up that LSU unit there. So in fact, I look at even locations too still play a part in that purpose as well. Because if you were not here, first
Mm-hmm.
of all, in an environment that had
That
this
was
wilderness,
enabling.
yes, so going out there, it might have been difficult, even knowing what to do and all that. So, wow.
You see, like they say that the Bible is complete. The work when God is working with us, in us, and through us, it's complete. However, we might just see the commas and the delays and the challenges as human.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, I asked why me. I wept. Ah, sometimes I'm talking to my husband like I ate everything right. I took my
Mm,
medication. I did this.
mm,
I did all that.
mm,
And for those that know me, I'm a strict person when it comes to do the right thing at the right
mm.
time.
So
I
God just
try.
also tells you it's not by your works.
Uh,
You know,
Far from it.
it's not by your power, it's not
I,
by your might.
and it is not by the looks, because if it is by the school, I wouldn't have gone to that school. And I prayed. One of the things I told God, I wanted all my kids to be in the same school. I didn't want to have to drop the younger ones here and start looking for a special needs school to take him to, because he flows with his siblings better. He flows, and knowing that they are around him gives him that confidence, and is able to, okay, at least I also know that there is an extra eye watching. I also know, and that's another thing. I think I had to, okay, so there was this time his siblings, though they were way younger, because at some point in school he used to hit. He used to be, some children would even run away from him. He got so bad that they would ah, they would tease him to get angry. Yeah, some boys, it was, they would tease him to get angry and throw tantrums so that they would laugh at him. So those instances were kind of embarrassing to my children, my other kids. They didn't know better. I did not, even you as a mother or as a father, there are some places you say, I beg, let's not go. I don't want to. Do you understand? If you have a child that would embarrass, or possibly, if there's a possibility. And we had to have a family meeting. We had to tell them what it was about, how we can only succeed together, how we can only manage through together. And I noticed that after that, yeah, so they still have their fights and all, but that acceptance, because acceptance and awareness is also within the family. You will just see that maybe some cousins or some relatives don't visit you because of or they've told their child do not, because you don't know. And so many times our children could behave in funny ways that might seem like, oh, harmful to the others and all. And let's not also forget that as they grow older, they also become vulnerable. They become vulnerable. And that's the part that I just tell parents, see, even though this child has eyes, ears, and all that, you have to be the child's eyes. You have to be the child's ears. I don't leave my son to when he was younger, when we go out, I don't leave him to sit with a nanny. I always sat beside him. If I wasn't going to go for that event, the kind of warning, if I wouldn't be at that occasion, is either they don't go with him, or I seriously tell his other siblings, see, this is yours to do, this is yours to do, and all. Because sometimes the truth is, whoever you leave a special needs child to is also human. That person is human. If you, as the mother that shared, that carried him and all, you are not able to cope 24 hours in the day, how do you expect that person to cope? The
A lot
reality
of
of
physical abuse can be there as well, and
there's
different
physical,
forms of abuse.
different forms of abuse. Let's not even go into that because it happens and all. And I must tell you that there are so many things that when you see special needs children thrive, oh my goodness, you celebrate them. You celebrate them. There are so many out there with cerebral palsy thriving, making news, making waves. There's this young chap on Instagram as well that I connected with. The day I I watched this video, I can't even remember who shared with me. I think it was my husband. And I kept crying. I kept crying. And a friend of mine called me, and I just said, oh, yes, I will call you. What happened? What happened? I said, nothing. Nothing happened. Because the truth is, when you listen, what's his name again now? When you listen to his story, you would know that, oh my goodness, a lot of work. This young man was determined on his own. He put in a lot of work, a lot of energy. He wrote WAEC to be where he is today. And our educational system does not even recognize that these children, their method, the method at which they should take their exam should be altered. It should be differentiated. It is not compulsory that they put pen to paper. There are various tests and all. But I just want to really tell any mother, any father, any auntie, any grandmother, any family member that has a child or anybody with special needs around them. See, do not forget the place of God, and do not forget the place of the grace upon you to make things happen for that child. You have a grace. That is the truth. You just have to key into it, tap into it, and work it out. There are some days that I'm like, okay, I've done what I can do. What next? Right now, he has a sweet, loving teacher that, as in, me, I thought I was strict. She's so firm with him that when I want to scare him sometimes, okay, don't worry, let me call Miss Fumi for you. The boy will sit up and will say, sorry, 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 sorry. And he would he'll get his work done. You see, God would always see, even if you're feeling challenged and you don't know, just say, God, I didn't create this child. Send me a helper. He would all. I don't want to just go into quoting so many Bible verses and all, but it is in there. It will be your help in every present time of need. Our present help at every point of need. You don't. If they say the birds of the air, They don't know where they will get their next supply from, but they don't die, they grow. How much more you, that was created in the image and likeness of God? Before I used to tell God that, you say everybody is created in your image and likeness. So this one that look like this is created. But the truth is, it's beyond that. It's beyond that. It is just to show that we all are a part of God, and He would never leave any of His parts unaided. So I found purpose. I now am able to support other parents. I'm able to find happiness and joy in that child. I'm able to, yeah. So there's a child I'm supporting right now, very challenging. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'm supporting this child and I'm speaking in tongues. Oh my goodness, Lord Jesus. What next? What next? What next? What do I do next? I might just keep quiet, and then the next thing. And God will just create a way, make a way. However, there are so many parents that I've spoken to that say, they just believe it is still early, it's a phase, they don't want to be labeled. Please, we are all everybody. I respect everybody's views, I respect everybody's opinion. Labeling is a thing of the mind. It is whoever accepts the label that is labeled. What are you looking for? Help for that child. Even the, so to say, typical children, they need help in some areas. How much more the one that obviously needs help? Labeling is a thing of the mind. Get it out of your mind. See, if you are able to accept what, well, if they say label, if you call me mother of an autistic child, now my own is that it will keep taking me onto higher stages, onto higher levels by God's grace. However, I'm not concerned about the now. I'm not concerned about the now. I'm concerned about the future. When I am no longer here, what happens to that precious child of mine? What will happen? So is it about facing it now and enjoying it tomorrow, or hiding it now and still facing it tomorrow? Because hey, what you don't manage would always stare you in the face. They will always stare you in the face. So I think it is best you stare it in the face and work it out so that you have a joyous tomorrow.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pearls of wisdom, so much to learn, so much to take from this story. I'm so happy that you have actually found the purpose through the pain and inexplicable situation. And you have been able to share your story as well and encourage other moms. And I just want to tell other people, whatever situation, for her case, yes, it was dealing with an autistic child, but for whatever situation you find yourself in, just go through this phase. I remember the passage that said, when you walk through the fire, I will be with you. When you walk through the water, I'll be with you. So yes, in all of it, he knows that there will be storms, he knows there will be the fire, he knows there will be the water. It just, like you said, take one day at a time and just trust in God, hold his hand. And it's really been a pleasure having you. Like, I don't want this discussion to end. And I'm so happy that we've actually found purpose with this. And I remember our last chat, and I was like, please just start briefing up your Bible because you're going places, and the purpose is now coming out. It's coming out, and um, God knows why He has now brought you out to a bigger environment. I always call our location a hibernating zone because when God has a very big purpose for you, you have a pilot test where you can do your pilot test. And so you've actually passed this pilot test phase, and God has taken you on to greater heights. And I pray that you continue to fulfill purpose. And even with the child, we will also see the purpose too. He also will fulfill his own purpose as well in Jesus' name. Thank you so much.
Amen.
It's been a pleasure.
Anytime.
I will call
Anytime.
you again and
And things would have gotten better. There'll be a
yes.
better thing. things would
Yeah.
have. It's just. I look forward to that time. I look
And I know
forward to
that
that
food
time.
part is getting it from you because I've been seeing your delicacies. So,
Yeah,
thank you so much, and my love to everyone. God bless you, and hope to have you again
I hope
on my
so too.
story. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.